Rapper Sean Diddy Combs has this morning pleaded not guilty to a new indictment in a New York court, which alleges Diddy tried to force his employees to work long hours with little sleep and punished those who didn't take part in his sex trafficking scheme. The trial is set to start in May.
Today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system.
The verdict is in, and Hollywood isn't staying quiet anymore. In the aftermath of Diddy's explosive trial decision, A-list celebrities, industry insiders, and former collaborators are reacting in ways no one saw coming. Some are speaking out for the very first time, others are suddenly backtracking on years of loyalty, and a few are disappearing entirely. You won't believe who's stepping forward and what their words reveal about what's really been going on behind the scenes. Sean Diddy Combs' trial has finally reached a dramatic turning point, and the impact is rippling through the entertainment world. With months of sealed evidence, witness statements, and legal pressure finally culminating in a verdict that's rocked the industry, all eyes are now on the people who once stood beside him. From chart-topping artists and longtime collaborators to actors, talk show hosts, and executives, the response has been loud, awkward, and in some cases, completely unexpected. For years, many of these names stayed silent. Now, they're being asked one question.
Today was a monumental loss for prosecutors in the Diddy case. I wish there were a bigger word than the word losers, because that's what they are. This case would never have been brought if the only issues were whether he transported a sex worker across state lines.
Where do you stand now? Coming up, a breakdown of the reactions, who's distancing themselves, who's defending him, and what it all could mean for Hollywood's future. Sean Diddy Combs has been under investigation by federal authorities, including Homeland Security, in connection with serious allegations such as trafficking, abuse of power, and financial misconduct. Multiple civil lawsuits have accused him of long-term exploitation and controlling behavior. While no criminal conviction has been announced as of now, sealed evidence, federal raids, and ongoing legal action suggest the case is far from over, and more revelations may still be coming.
Here's a summary of why Diddy was arrested and some other disturbing things all in 60 seconds. He was arrested for abusing and coercing women and men into fulfilling his desires. He would force them to do things that they didn't want to do and record all of it. Now, over 50 people have come forward and talked about it, one being his ex-girlfriend, Cassie. Now, there is a video of him abusing her, and she said over 10 years she was trafficked, abused, and R-worded by him multiple times. Then there's Lee Cardello Smith, who was allegedly spiked by Diddy and then R-worded. He also said that Diddy had sex trafficking parties with illegal substances and underage girls. Jada Smith sent her son Jaden Smith to live with Diddy, knowing what was going on in that house. They found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and over 700 used toys. Diddy's mom was allegedly part of these freak-offs, and there's even a video of them kissing while getting IV drips. Diddy also has a 50-foot bed in his garden. Multiple celebrities were seen at his party, and if you want to see who those are, check out my previous video.
After months of legal buildup, sealed documents, multiple federal raids, and widespread speculation, the verdict in Sean Diddy Combs' trial has finally been delivered, and it has sent shockwaves across the entertainment industry. The case itself was complex, spanning years of accusations, legal motions, and behind-the-scenes negotiations. It wasn't just a civil matter or a celebrity scandal. It was a full-scale investigation involving multiple federal agencies. The court was presented with testimony from insiders, former employees, and individuals who had worked in Diddy's private and professional spaces for years. Their accounts pointed to a disturbing pattern, one not easily dismissed as rumor or hearsay. Throughout the trial, prosecutors focused on establishing three key elements: control, concealment, and complicity. They argued that Diddy maintained not just a public brand, but a tightly controlled environment behind the scenes, where access, influence, and privacy were strictly managed. Evidence entered into the sealed record reportedly included financial transactions, NDA agreements, and private communications obtained during the raids, much of which was never made fully available to the public but cited heavily in the final court arguments. The jury, after reviewing weeks of testimony and documents, returned a verdict that leaned heavily against Diddy. While the exact legal language is being carefully dissected by experts, the outcome makes one thing clear. The court found that Diddy either knew about or was directly responsible for multiple violations of legal and ethical standards, including abuse of power, unlawful conduct, and obstruction of investigation efforts. The verdict did not hinge on one specific incident, but rather on a pattern of behavior over time that the court deemed intentional, calculated, and damaging to others.
Today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. You saw that the Southern District of New York prosecutors came at him with all that they had. They're not stopping, but one thing stands between all of us and a prison, and that is a jury of 12 citizens.
The implications of the ruling are significant. In addition to reputational collapse, Diddy now faces potential civil penalties, financial damages, and a likely continuation of federal-level scrutiny. Legal analysts believe that the trial may not be the end, but the beginning of additional legal proceedings that could involve other individuals, companies, or even corporate partners connected to the ecosystem he built. What made this verdict especially stunning was the tone of the judge's final statement. While remaining professional, the judge acknowledged the wider cultural silence that surrounded Diddy for years. The verdict wasn't just about accountability. It was about breaking through years of image management and industry protection. In doing so, the court acknowledged that this case was about more than just one man. It was about power, silence, and the price of enabling behavior under the cover of celebrity. As the news of the verdict broke, social media lit up. Newsrooms scrambled, and behind the scenes, many in Hollywood began to reevaluate past connections, partnerships, and allegiances.
So I'm outside the courtroom here in New York, and we've just heard the verdict on the Sean Diddy Combs trial. And that's why there's still this buzz out here, because this is what the jury read out. On 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, they found him guilty on those 2 charges. But on 3 other charges, 2 on sex trafficking and 1 on racketeering conspiracy, that's the one which had a potential for a life sentence, and which the jury really struggled with yesterday. On that count and the 2 others, not guilty.
Now let's jump into the reactions. Who spoke out, who stayed quiet, and who completely changed their tone? The fallout from the verdict is just beginning. The moment the verdict in Diddy's trial hit the news cycle, Hollywood entered a rare state of unease. The entertainment industry has weathered high-profile scandals before, but this one feels different. Not just because of the magnitude of the case, but because of the sheer number of powerful people who had once aligned themselves with Diddy over decades. Now, as the legal outcome becomes public, many of those same names are being watched closely for their statements, silence, or sudden shifts in behavior. One of the first high-profile responses came from 50 Cent, who has been openly critical of Diddy for years. On social media, 50 didn't hold back. Though he didn't reference the verdict directly at first, he posted cryptic messages hinting that the truth had finally caught up, writing, "Been telling y'all for years, now everybody acting surprised." His tone was a mix of vindication and warning, suggesting that more names could surface if the investigation continues to expand. Aubrey O'Day, a former member of Danity Kane and one of Diddy's most outspoken critics from his Making the Band days, released a statement that was both emotional and measured. She said, "It's not easy to speak about someone so powerful, but the verdict shows that courage matters, and truth, no matter how long it takes, always finds a way." O'Day's experiences working under Diddy were already public, but her decision to speak now, so soon after the trial, suggests that many former collaborators have been waiting for legal validation before fully stepping forward. On the other hand, some celebrities have chosen calculated silence. Longtime collaborators like Mary J. Blige, DJ Khaled, and even Jay-Z, who were once seen publicly with Diddy during events, awards shows, and private parties, have made no comment. Their social media accounts remain business as usual. No posts, no reposts, no interviews addressing the verdict. This silence has led to speculation. Are they distancing themselves behind the scenes? Are legal advisors telling them to remain quiet due to potential involvement or concern over proximity? Interestingly, Usher, once mentored and publicly praised by Diddy, has also remained out of the spotlight in recent days. While he has not spoken on the trial, fans have begun revisiting past interviews where Usher alluded to the difficult dynamics of the entertainment world and being exposed to more than a kid should be. Those words, in the context of the verdict, now carry a much heavier weight. Even if they weren't direct accusations at the time, Meek Mill, who was seen in photos with Diddy during high-profile events in past years, posted a now-deleted tweet shortly after the verdict, reading, "Everything in the dark comes to light." The tweet went viral before it was taken down, leading many to wonder if he knew more than he was ready to say. Meanwhile, talk show hosts and media figures are beginning to address the case more openly. Charlemagne Tha God on The Breakfast Club acknowledged the significance of the verdict without naming names, saying, "We're in a time where nobody's too big to fall. Protecting powerful people just because of who they are, that era's ending, fast." In a surprising move, Oprah Winfrey, who had previously included Diddy in some of her philanthropic events, issued a brief statement through her network's spokesperson, clarifying that she has no current ties or projects with Mr. Combs and was unaware of any personal legal matters until recent coverage. It was a subtle but clear message. Public distance. Even behind the scenes, producers, executives, and fashion brands that once partnered with Diddy's labels or events have begun making quiet adjustment. Brand collaborations are being paused. Licensing deals are under review. And according to inside sources, multiple streaming platforms are re-evaluating content connected to his name, especially documentary footage or shows produced under his banner. This wave of reaction, some loud, some careful, signals a shift in Hollywood's tolerance. What once could be ignored, buried, or spun through PR now lingers in headlines with court validation behind it. More importantly, the responses reveal who feels they can speak and who may still be entangled in the larger story. The fallout from Diddy's verdict isn't just about public image, it's about the unseen alliances, contracts, and power dynamics that shape the entertainment world behind closed doors. And now, those very structures are at risk. For decades, Sean Diddy Combs wasn't just an artist or a businessman, he was a gatekeeper. Through his labels, events, and private circles, he helped launch or shape the careers of countless celebrities, producers, influencers, and executives. Many of these relationships weren't just friendly, they were strategic. People aligned themselves with Diddy for access, protection, and clout. But with the court's ruling now public, that network is rapidly destabilizing. Legal experts suggest that some individuals previously protected by proximity to Diddy may now be reevaluated by investigators, especially if their names appeared in sealed documents or were linked to properties, events, or business ventures involved in the case. The verdict doesn't just close a chapter, it potentially opens the door for federal follow-ups, class action lawsuits, and even broader criminal probes. For Hollywood, this means two things. First, public silence may no longer be enough. Celebrities and executives who once felt safe standing close to Diddy, whether on stage, in boardrooms, or on red carpets, are now being scrutinized by the public and the press. Old interviews are resurfacing, past collaborations are being reanalyzed. The verdict gave people permission to start asking deeper questions, and those questions are leading to unexpected places. Second, there's now real pressure on industry institutions to respond. Award shows, streaming services, music labels, and even legacy publications are being asked, why was this behavior ignored for so long? Who else enabled it? And what's being done now to prevent it from happening again? This shift in tone signals something bigger, a growing demand for transparency and accountability in elite spaces that once thrived on silence. If more sealed documents are released or more insiders come forward, it's likely that this case won't remain an isolated scandal. It could become a turning point, much like past moments that forced systemic change across film, music, and television. In short, Diddy's verdict may have ended his legal battle, but it may also be the spark that begins a far larger reckoning. For decades, Sean Diddy Combs wasn't just a music mogul, he was a powerful figure embedded in nearly every corner of the entertainment industry. From launching chart-topping artists to shaping the direction of fashion, television, and nightlife, Diddy built an empire supported not just by fans, but by executives, legal advisors, and influential institutions. That network gave him more than just reach. It gave him protection. And now, in the wake of a shocking trial verdict and ongoing federal investigations, many are asking why, despite serious accusations, Diddy has remained insulated from the kind of criminal consequences others might face. According to insiders and legal analysts, the answer may lie in how deeply rooted his connections run. His relationships with top attorneys, media outlets, corporate sponsors, and high-level political donors have made him a difficult figure to challenge publicly, even as lawsuits and testimonies continue to pile up. This is part of why so many people who have spoken out against him in recent years did so anonymously, or only after legal support was secured. Former collaborators, assistants, and partners have described the risk of going against someone with his level of wealth and access as life-altering. For them, the fear isn't just about backlash, it's about being blacklisted, discredited, or worse. Many whistleblowers have waited years to tell their stories, not because they lacked evidence, but because they knew that speaking out meant walking away from careers, protection, and safety. As the court case intensifies and sealed documents threaten to name more people involved, those who spoke up are watching closely. If Diddy escapes real accountability, despite the growing evidence, it could reinforce a dangerous message. That power still outweighs justice in the entertainment industry. And for the people who risked everything to expose the truth, that fear remains just as real today as it was the moment they decided to come forward. What we're witnessing isn't just a legal case, it's a moment of reckoning. The verdict has been delivered, the reactions are pouring in, and the silence from some of Hollywood's biggest names is louder than words. But this story isn't over. The sealed evidence, the insiders who haven't spoken yet, and the fear still hanging over those who did, all of it points to something bigger, something deeper. The question now is simple. Will this be the moment the industry finally holds itself accountable? Or just another chapter in a long history of silence and protection? As more names surface and more truths are forced into the light, one thing is certain: the people are watching, and this time, they're not looking away. Stay tuned, because this story is far from finished.